Okay, welcome to the Rest and Recovery Podcast. Today, we are going to touch on the importance of nutrition around rest and recovery and just life in general. And my guest with me is Armin Elezovic. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Pretty solid.
Yeah, pretty
Nice.
solid.
From PRAVI Nutrition. And yeah, we're going to get into protein and also just their unique take on the importance of protein, specifically whey protein. And we'll get into that in just a minute. But Armin, thanks for taking the time to join me.
Yeah, of course, Scott. I appreciate it. We had talked a little prior to this interview. You know, you've purchased our goat whey, which we appreciate a lot, and I'm excited. I'm excited to tackle a bunch of topics, talk about anything nutrition based, and kind of where we got our start.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that'd be great. Why don't we start there? We were talking a little bit offline, but your own personal health journey and the evolution of how you guys recently launched. I think you were saying you're coming up at the time of this recording. You're coming up on your first year of business. So, yeah, give the background on Pravi and what it stands for. Where you came up with the name, but also more importantly, goat protein. That's not an area that a lot of people, at least in the U.S., are used to talking about. And we can get into the nuances around that. But yeah, give it a little background.
sure, thank you. And just for a mental note, I'm glad you touched on the U.S. market and goat dairy in particular, because it's huge. It's the most widely consumed dairy product outside the U.S. goat milk. So that's a good thing to come back to. As far as for us, so it's a two-man operation at the moment. Joe and I, and we met at UVM. It's University of Vermont. That's Burlington's Vermont school. We played sports together. We played sports against each other. And as I was talking offline, he was a big proponent in me wanting to get my health better. He was into not only changing diets, supplements, and fitness earlier than I was on a more serious note, but he was willing to share that info. So we were in our little Twitter, areas where we're learning about, less mainstream sorts of health.
Yeah.
And that was kind of where we had our start. I myself, I had during COVID, everyone was concerned, obviously, of the virus, but I actually had my own health issues that had nothing to do with COVID. So all my health issues were stemmed from years and years of stress.
Okay.
And a lot of familial stress, and then also just bad habits, eating poorly, etc. And I actually I was having no luck with doctors. So I went to a naturopath. We did some testing, and I had a fungal overgrowth, Candida albicans.
Yep.
And those symptoms can range variety. A lot of it's inflammation, but I was having trouble breathing depending on what I ate. I'd have a skin rash. I was having gut issues, and overall just quality of life was not good for, at the time I was 24. So
Wow.
that's just not, I knew something was off,
Yeah.
I felt like I should feel a little better than I was. And then part of the Candida diet was cutting out dairy. But I was just reading everything because I just wanted to feel better. And I'd read the benefits of goat dairy, how it wasn't inflammatory, how it had prebiotics, how it had probiotics, how it actually could reverse Candida. It could help aid in the fight against the fungal overgrowth. So that piqued my interest, and I started experimenting. I did regular goat milk that you'd find at the supermarket. Then I do some raw goat milk from farms here. That's definitely a plus in Vermont. There's a ton of access to raw dairy.
Yeah.
And the more and more I learned, the more and more I felt better, in conjunction with other changes in my life. I'd always, I'd thought, what if there was a protein? And so then that was my next step for research and finding out that there is goat whey protein on the market. There's another brand we liked, Mount Capra. They do great. They do a lot of goat products, but we felt like we could add to it. Maybe change even less ingredients.
Hmm.
Not only that, but it always helps the market when there's more players.
Absolutely.
So we wanted to really get this out there, and that's kind of where I guess our interest in goat dairy initially started. It was a personal health challenge, and then our back and forth of what we were reading. Um, the name, PRAVI.
Yeah.
So that's actually from my language. I'm glad Joe is on board with it. He's been great in that regard. He said, let's run with it. Pravi in my language means real.
Okay.
So it's essentially just real nutrition. That's the point and premise of our company. So we didn't want to, we actually wanted to show up and provide products that are not additives based, harmful chemicals,
Keep
anything
it
that's
clean,
crap,
right?
honestly. Keep it clean.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
our MO.
That's
But
great. That's an incredible story. It's amazing how, so many health challenges for people turn into incredible rebound stories, I guess you could say, or turnaround stories. You know, um, and yours is no different. You had to dig into it. Modern medicine has its place, but that's more on the sick side when you're, in an extreme scenario, more like a ER of sorts for your health rather than daily lifestyles that would prevent that scenario. And, you had to dig in your own research, which is great to uncover this. So it's pretty awesome. Good on you on doing that. Um, but yeah, I can certainly relate to that kind of a story of my own like that. And but yeah, that's incredible. And I like the real piece, the Pravi. That's awesome. What language is that official?
so I officially would be I see the thing is I want to say it's Serbo-Croatian, just
Hmm.
as it's a shared dialect between Serbia, Croatia, and Bosnia.
Okay,
But I grew up as it being Bosnian.
gotcha.
It's spoken in my household. My relatives are Bosnian, but I can understand people from those areas as well. So I think that's the official term. But
Gotcha. Awesome. Very cool. I love the family history and doing that. And so we started talking about you mentioned goat protein is actually globally the most used dairy protein. Maybe expound on that a little bit. And why do you think the US isn't as prevalent?
sure. Yeah, it's interesting. And it's funny. Another thing that happens is as I've gotten in this health space and learned more, a lot of these things have been known for generations, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The grandmother's cooking. And so it's funny when I'll bring up things like goat dairy to my mom, and my mom's like, yeah, I know, we grew up with goats. She's like, congratulations, you just figured that exists.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's always been kind of a funny dialogue between me and my relatives now. But yeah, it's most widely consumed outside the US. I think that's for several reasons. I think in at least I'll touch on European cultures. It's much more common to house a goat or your own chickens or have a small farm.
Yeah.
I think we've moved dramatically into other way here. We just do mass agriculture in the US
Yep.
for
Yep.
obvious reasons, our population, our profiteering, etc. But I think that's more common to have goats and other animals for sustenance overseas. And I think it was more widely available. I think there's the big bottleneck for goats in the US is just the lack of milk they produce. So
Mhm.
goat bearing they can do or sorry, milk bearing goats can do 2 gallons a day. And I think on a big mass agricultural plan, that's just not enough to sustain all the different uses we need for dairy.
Yeah.
Though I think it's substantially better. I just the not only is the amino acid profile better, the vitamins, the minerals are better, and most importantly, this ties back into our product. It's just easily digestible. I can't, I don't want to get too far off topic, but I've tried so many protein powders and just felt like junk afterwards. Even the
Yeah.
clean ones. I
Yep.
don't know what to say. It's
Yeah. And yeah, there's so many, theories behind that, I think, with probably the overconsumption of dairy, cow dairy, that is. And then also the clean element, right? And who knows what else is in some of those ingredients, or um, but yeah, it's amazing the absorption rate. People don't think about that much. I didn't for a long time until recently, and you mentioned the gut issues, and I think so many people can relate to having gut health issues, and absorption is a direct byproduct of poor gut health, right? You're not going to get the energy, the nutrients that you need, so you need something more digestible. And if, especially in a society where the gut is so uh, poorly able to digest well, it makes it even more important for a product like this to be out on the market, I would think. And plenty of space to augment, right? It's not like goat milk has to take over dairy, but it should be in the conversation for sure.
I'm really glad you said that. I think like I even said, dairy was so important to me that that's why I even wanted to seek out an option that worked while I was, cutting out a lot of inflammatory items, because it tastes well. I know the the importance of the nutrition value from it.
Yeah.
So hence why I am all on board. But as you said, I think people don't even realize how bad their gut health is.
Mhm.
We a lot of societal habits, and that I play part in as well, but we just consume low quality items. When we eat out, we might drink, we might get poor sleep and poor sunlight. I think these things all play and tie together
Yeah,
uh in
absolutely.
increasing your gut health. And I think we just don't, I think we've lowered our even noticing of the gut issues. You know what I mean? We might all just be walking around with gut issues
Yeah.
and write them off.
That we've more normalized kind of gut dysfunction, and blow it
Correct.
off as like, oh yeah, I'm bloated today, or my stomach hurts, and we just get used to the pain or the discomfort,
Yes.
whatever. And we were like, oh yeah, I ate this, and therefore I feel like crap now. And then we can just keep doing it. And
Yes.
I'm as guilty as anyone, not to in
Of
any way
course.
point fingers. But at some point, we all have to really start doing that self awareness piece of just acknowledging the cause and effect of some of the things we consume.
And I think it's really important, even myself personally on this journey,
Yeah.
I've realized that once you do get over the issue you're having, that you just build up this resilience, this base, this foundation, where a food I might have had a reaction to prior has less of an effect this time.
Hmm.
I've built up, my body's stronger, it's healthier, it's more metabolically healthy. It's just able to digest more efficiently, effectively now. And that's because of these changes prior. It's really a win-win. It's not only do you get to fix your issue, but you actually can prevent further issues from occurring with that strengthening.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So, um, you mentioned the word raw, and that's another thing that we definitely in the U.S. don't talk about much, or it's positioned as unhealthy if you have
Right.
raw milk. Maybe explain that a little bit, and why you guys went down that route.
Yeah, so I think a lot of, I forget sometimes that we all get in our echo chambers, and I'm in a very health-centric echo chamber. So everyone around me knows about raw milk. They know the benefits, they know the differences, they know the accessibility, they know why why the government may not want to do that, why farms should do that. So I sometimes I forget that most people don't know. It's still considered this the forbidden fruit.
Yeah.
Um, I think with us, right? We so there for obvious reasons for those who do listen, uh pasteurizing dairy eliminates bacteria and pathogens that could harm the human body on consumption. However, the downside to that is while that's process is happening, and it's usually ultra temp or ultra high temp pasteurized, what that means is just you basically heat up milk to a very high temperature to kill off all this bacteria. In doing so, you also kill off the good bacteria. You denature the proteins and minerals. So that's essentially the heat can crush protein, heat can crush aminos and existing vitamins and minerals found in the milk. So those are the downsides. You are essentially putting out a less nutritious product while destroying any chance of obviously, getting an infection. But even that, it's funnily enough, if you ever look at numbers, E. coli runs rampant in lettuce, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many diets that push for, and I'm not at any point antagonizing vegetables. I include vegetables in my diet, but we push that as the forefront healthiest diet, but it's also the number one leading cause of E. coli, which is animal and foodborne contamination, right? And raw milk is way down on the list. You could argue maybe because of due to lack of availability, it's that
Mm-hmm.
low.
Yeah.
But anyone who's tried raw milk knows there's almost nothing to worry about. Why we chose this route, I mean, it is more of, so our product, right? It's raw goat whey protein. For the product itself, it is also a nod to the idea that we didn't include anything else in it. We have organic vanilla flavoring, and actually we're planning on releasing a completely unflavored this winter,
Oh,
just for
really?
anyone who, yes, just for anyone who, and we'll get into products planned for
Yeah,
this year.
absolutely.
We're very excited to share those, but for this we just chose vanilla just as, because I know a lot of people have a deterrence to goat dairy. They might think it tastes a little pastury, grassy.
Mm-hmm.
I think we thought the vanilla would be just enough to offset anything. I personally don't taste the pasture and the goat whey, but it's understandable. Everyone's taste buds are different.
Yeah.
So the raw is a nod to not using any harmful additives, preservatives, and that we do cold processing. So our supplier, which is completely in the US, is cold processes the milk for the goat whey, which lessens denaturing. So it retains its original protein, it retains more of its original vitamin and mineral content, and that way it can even keep its prebiotics. So those are all the benefits of cold processing. That process itself is just essentially similar to a regular process, but using much lower heat
Mm-hmm.
in order to save the integrity of the milk
Okay.
in the whey in the process of separation. So it's mechanical separation, but it's maintaining integrity and keeping it more whole. So
That's
that's a
awesome. That's
yeah,
a great
it's
explanation. That's I think that's really helpful for me, and I'm sure those listening. Um, there's something I was going to go back to. Oh, I was going to give an anecdote. So we mentioned briefly that, I've used it before a couple times now, last few months, and yeah, it is a mild flavor. I mean, I think the first taste was different because I wasn't, I'm used to drinking uh, cow's milk or coconut milk on the plant side of things, and but it was really good. I mean, it wasn't a strong flavor. Even the vanilla flavor was mild, so it was easily. I just used that with goat milk, or excuse me, coconut milk, yours, and then I think I had a vanilla flavored probiotic, right, powder that I put in there that added on uh, a little bit. But yeah, I thought it was really good, really clean. Um, and yeah, it's been my new alternative now, because I was using plant-based pea protein, and what some folks might not realize, and again, not a knock on it, it's good for some, not good for all, but it's cousins to peanut. I have a peanut sensitivity, and so you might respond differently. But anyway, yeah, I thought you guys had an excellent product, and I'm not just saying that because you're sitting in front of me, but
yeah.
no, it's very good, and be interesting to see how the unflavored comes out.
Absolutely, and thank you. And you are right about that. As I mentioned before, I don't have a knock on vegetable plant-based products. I just know that they did come to fill a hole of people going on the more vegan side of things,
Hmm.
as well as the cowways that were on the market were just low quality. It was
Yeah.
causing worse gut inflammation, bloating, GI issues. So I feel like we're the actual solution to things. It's tolerable by most. We have studies on our website as well that go into how lactose intolerant children were given goat milk, and they all were, or 99 out of 100 in the study actually, were able to tolerate goat dairy, even with a lactose intolerance issue.
Wow. That's
And we
huge.
we go into other, yeah, it was, these are the type of things where when I had noticed it didn't affect me, and I would actually give it to family friends first who were lactose intolerant. And when I realized it wasn't affecting them, I knew we had something that uh, really did work. And it's something the US market needed more of. I'm not mad at all if more companies start selling goat whey. I think it's genuinely helpful. I also think, as I agree with you, the taste is mild. I do think some people still might have some time to getting used to that
Yeah.
taste.
Yeah.
But in general, it's a supplement. I think if you we even recommend this, eat a whole foods diet, get your protein from real food. If you feel the need to supplement extra, or you just want the essential amino acids your body can't make found in all nine are found in this product, then go ahead. We recommend this. I always think like you shouldn't, this supplement, we always joke, Joe and I, there's a bunch of supplements on the market that are like cinnamon toast crunch flavored and have edible glitter and have like cake pops. And it's like, like if you're gonna go to those lengths to, to mask a flavor, I don't know. You might
Yep.
as well have the seed oiled regular version.
Exactly.
Seriously, you'll enjoy it more.
Yep.
I So I think as a protein powder, it really should just be simple, something you consume and get the benefits from it. It shouldn't it doesn't need to be this huge event.
Yeah, and you make a great point too, is like from a nutritional profile, I think oftentimes, we're under proteined in general.
Definitely.
Um, we do know that in talking about clean and quality ingredients, a lot of our food supply is continuing to dwindle in the level of nutrition in the food because of the mass manufacturing, depleted soil, so it doesn't deplete as well or regenerate as well. And so we have to supplement. Supplementation has to be a part of the process. And I think, especially from a protein perspective, this is a great alternative. And for me too, like again, depending on your metabolic type, what you need in your balance in the macros. But it's a great way to get something in simple, especially if you're in major cities like we are or I am, you're on the go a lot. So it's sometimes tough to stop and make the food or whatever. So it's just a great way to kind of have that there as a support and a gap closure.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think also I prefer taking mine with maple syrup. Vermont has, I want to say, the
There you
best
go.
maple syrup in the world, but the Canadians might be on me. But
Yeah.
it's really good up here. So that's a go-to for me. Organic maple syrup, raw honey, and then this PRAVI protein. I actually also prefer coconut milk, but goat milk is great too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Double
so
up on the goat
that's
milk.
double up. Yeah, get twice the benefits, right?
Yeah. The thing I like about using the coconut with it is too is you're getting that plant. So you're getting to me that well-rounded. You need all those things, and it's just a good way to kind of change it up too. But um, yeah, I think that's a huge element that anybody could benefit from. And like you said, like it's got all nine of the essential aminos that, again, we need those for a variety of things, right? Protein is huge from a nutrition standpoint, arguably one of the probably the more important of the three macros. You can argue they're all important, but
Right.
how those essential aminos help with repair, muscle repair, cognitive function, because we need that fats in there as well. That's in there. So, yeah, it's really, really important.
I think it's especially important for the older demographic. Because when you think protein powders, you think of like the gym person, right?
Yeah.
with these big muscles. And of course, that's part of it. But I think a lot of older people, I'm talking, 60s and above, like my mom's turning 60 this year, and I'm getting her to start incorporating a lot more protein in her diet.
Hmm.
She didn't grow up on like this idea of like high protein diets,
Yeah.
and I know how important it is. I also know that you can have gut sensitivity at an older age,
Hmm.
and then a host of issues. There's people who have metabolic illness and can't always digest things, can't utilize this in their diet. I think goat milk, goat whey is a good tool in that.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting actually. The goat, like the genetic breakdown of goat milk is the most similar to human breast milk. So much so
Really?
that overseas the number one, and you can even just type in on Amazon goat baby formula. One of the number one formulas in overseas in the EU is goat milk based. So they're given it as a baby formula.
Wow.
And that was definitely that piqued my interest as well, realizing that it's almost it can almost benefit a baby as much as breast milk can. That's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Uh
That's huge.
yeah, we've wanted to do even more breakdowns on that and start sharing that for our community. Um it's fascinating stuff. It goes to show, I guess, another reason why it's so globally consumed, just with the host of benefits, and why I hope it increases here in the US. It's a luxury here in Vermont. There's a ton of goat farms, which is really nice. So it's a lot more common here. But I know
Mm.
there's people all over the country that have never tried goat milk, have never even delved into goat whey. That would be the next step, right? You
Yeah.
gotta start with the milk. But so very interesting stuff, very powerful. It's a great animal. we're
Yeah.
glad we we're glad we get to share this with people. Seriously, it's been nice, especially because it's new to us as well.
Yeah.
uh,
Well, my daughter's been find this funny. She's been wanting to get a goat. So I may have to become part of the PRAVI network or something to start a goat farm in Virginia, and
yeah.
you guys could source from our house.
That'd be, it's funny, we get asked all the time, like, do we have our own goat farm? And I was like, I was like, I would love one. Logistically very tough at the moment.
Yeah.
you know
So do you have to partner? You said it's U.S. based, so
Correct.
it's all local. So you partner with local farmers who raise goats.
So our yes, but not local to us. It's local to the Midwest. So
Okay.
the farm we work with just sources from local farms in Midwest,
Hmm.
and they're able to produce at such an capacity that there's excess whey, and then that whey is sellable, and it's completely U.S. based. We're proud of that.
That's
We
awesome.
want to keep it that way. When we were actually the first 6 months was even finding a supplier. It's very difficult. The couple companies in the U.S. that use goats for their products are very tight-lipped about it, which is fine. I understand.
Yeah.
In the prior to finding these guys, our first supplier would have been out of Europe, but the numbers were just they were just not doable,
Yeah.
with the import costs, the production. And we're small, this is just me and Joe. We do everything. We fulfill, we use a manufacturer for the production, of course,
Hmm.
but everything else is in-house. So we we would love to have this exorbitant facility pumping out milk, everything flying out. But at the moment, we're keeping it within our means. But we're excited to grow. We have this year we have 3 more products planned. So
Sweet.
um
So maybe touch on
so we
those.
because
What do you got coming
sure.
coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, as of right now, we have our original goat whey protein with vanilla. We're planning on doing a raw goat whey protein, no flavoring. So just completely one ingredient. We're also planning on doing an instantized version of our current goat whey. So what instantizing means is you would mix the goat whey with sunflower lecithin, which actually has health benefits, a host of health benefits. It's used widely as a supplement.
Hmm.
If you mix the two, it changes the texture of the protein, because our feedback was just the texture was very gritty, very sandy.
Hmm.
Of course, people still enjoyed it, and I enjoy it, but we're considering, going this route just to open up another option for even better tasting, better mouthfeel product,
Yeah.
while limiting product ingredients, of course. And it'd be organic, non-GMO, and that's a product we're discussing. We're also discussing an organic cocoa flavor with sea salt, and I know that's going to be like exciting for people. We've gotten a ton of messages saying, if you put out chocolate, we'll buy. And I was like, okay, we got it. So we would go down that route. So those products, and then the last product we're currently sampling is an electrolyte product. So a big deal for us, we're big advocates of the sauna. We go to
Hmm.
sauna every day. I probably train at the gym 5 days a week, play some sports here and there. I love how electrolytes make you feel when you replenish them. After like a long, hard day of sweating, being out in the sun, these packs, like I'm sure everyone's tried the element sticks,
Yeah.
liquid IV. But so we wanted to make our own with, of course, the way we do it at Pravi, no preservatives, no added sugar, no BS. We're gonna keep it
Sweet.
that way.
Cool.
So that's something to look forward to as well.
Awesome. Are you
Very
guys,
exciting.
yeah, that's really cool. I was curious if you're going down any other like protein based, and I'm just thinking out loud, right? Is like the collagens or, I've been hearing colostrum lately, if that's even a route that's possible for goat.
Yeah, colostrum is actually of high interest to us. Um, Before I go on that, to quickly touch on collagen and then touch on another product, which would be like a pre-workout.
Yeah.
Those are two common, I guess, products people consider all the time.
Hmm.
But for us personally, like pre-workout, we don't think it's necessary. Um, for people who do think it's necessary, I'm sure there's people that are focused on that, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yep.
We don't think we would deliver a great product. For us, pre-workout is some honey and like an espresso shot. That gets us going. That's
Yeah.
all we need. So, but it's understandable that people ask for that. For collagen, I think collagen is extremely popular, and I unless we, yeah, as you said, could make a goat collagen. In general, there's so many products out right now,
Sure.
and that I
Yeah.
think are doing a great job. I
Yeah.
it's not even a knock. They're crushing it.
Yeah.
Um, I think as at our size, we're definitely focused on what we do well, which
Hmm.
is I think we make the best protein powder out, and then slowly get into things we like to see ourselves
Yeah.
that's not in the market.
Hey man, from a business perspective, that's the wise route, right? Don't want to overdo too many products. Just knock this one out of the park, grow it. Like you said, there's the two of you crushing it, but at some point, hopefully, you guys are gonna have to start hiring locally and get some U.S. based employees going. So that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be really nice. I've shouted out Vermont a few times already, but they really do a good job at incentivizing job creation as well as
Yeah,
agricultural job creation. So that's something we have potential tools for,
sweet.
but it's very early in the process. It's exciting. It's been a year, but it's interesting. Sometimes we feel like we don't exactly know what we're talking about or doing. Maybe this is a message to anyone else who's young. We're 26 years old, and it's every day we're learning something. If you saw the first way we were asking about getting the supply to how we know to speak now and how to
Yeah,
reach out, it's night and day.
that's all. Hey man, that's the best way to do about it. Go about it is get an idea, act on it, and iterate from there. I think too often, and including myself, didn't do that enough. So respect to that, and keep doing that. It's what got you here, and just keep going, man. Stay curious. So,
I appreciate that. It comes also, I have to share this. My mother and dad, they immigrated here obviously when I was young. And so my dad used to be a professional soccer player in Bosnia.
oh,
And my
cool.
mom was an accountant. But when you come to the US as refugees, it's kind of out the window.
Yeah,
So they were extremely hardworking. It's what instilled it in me. They actually started coast to coast truck driving, semi trucks. So I used to spend summers, traveling with them in the back of the cab. And I'd essentially go to every state in the US.
yeah,
Obviously, not remember much. I was a young boy, but they kind of instilled in me the idea of doing it on your own, as well as being able to just work hard. And my mom to this day does it. She's turning 60. She drives every week 2-3 thousand miles. So
wow,
it's
that's
like
incredible.
that's the type of upbringing I had. And it's also helpful having a partner in Joe that also wants to create something. He's just as interested in I think it's a good balance for us too,
Yeah,
working on
that
this.
that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's it, man. I appreciate the long haulers like your parents driving around and showing that kind of stick to it attitude. And my wife grew up for a number of years like that. My father-in-law drove a truck, and um, but so that's awesome to have that kind of example, uh, to kind of set that legacy and set the tone. You know, that's the American dream, is coming out and kind of relying on family, but doing it as well. So you have the kind of that optimal blend of the two. So good for you, man.
Yeah, I
So
appreciate it.
before we close out, I like to ask a few questions, bit of a hot seat.
Sure.
So, what are you reading right now?
For actually, this is a good one. I'm reading The Salt Fix. Um, I can actually go grab it. It's by Dr. James. I want to say Nicolini.
Yeah, I
I
think that's right.
Okay.
D. Nicolini.
Yeah, that's a very known book, but I think it's part of the electrolytes we're researching, as well as my own interest in just taking salt on everything.
Yeah,
That's been my interest at the moment, book wise.
cool. Very cool. All right, what are you listening to right now, be it music or podcast?
Sure. For I can give you one of both.
Sure.
I've been For music, it's been a lot of country recently. So it's been guys like Zach Bryan, Noah Khan, a guy who's actually from Vermont, uh, blowing up right now.
Cool.
For podcasts, it's the typical ones, but I'll listen to Andrew Huberman's pod
Yep.
and any interesting people I like on JRE. He has such a wide variety of people, but he's the best at his job. You
Yeah.
know,
He has set the
Joe
tone for
Rogan
sure, man.
crushes.
Yep.
Yeah, he absolutely crushes. So
Cool. All right, last one. What is your go-to rest and recovery method?
my go-to rest and recovery. That's a good one. I want to answer these as quick as I can while still being somewhat poignant. This is actually a good one. I do like taking L-theanine.
Hmm.
L-theanine, for those that know is commonly found in green tea. It's a compound. It's a compound that not only relaxes you, but also is a nootropic. We're actually including that in our electrolyte sticks
Okay.
because I'm such a fan of it. I take 400 to 800 milligrams a day. I think it's great. Very, very easy going. So I'll take that. And then I've been the magnesium spray.
Hmm.
The magnesium spray is essentially just distilled water and magnesium salt, magnesium chloride specifically. And if you put in a spray bottle together, it does this weird, it's just calming effect. It relaxes muscles. If you have any gym pains or soreness, you spray some magnesium on it, It feels better. And it's some wild stories. I remember a family friend, I'm selling this well. No, a family friend of mine, she was having cramping during her period.
Hmm.
And I remember telling her dad, just start a bath and put a ton of magnesium chloride in there. She couldn't even believe it went away within minutes, all her cramping pain. So it's magnesium in general is a strong tool. So I'd say my rest and recovery is L-theanine and magnesium, and then kind of just relaxing mentally.
Sweet. That's great, man. I didn't realize it was a spray. I'll have to look into that one.
Yeah, there's you can make your own, but it's also I just buy from Ancient Minerals, I think on Amazon,
Yep.
and it's interesting stuff. There's this guy on Twitter, his name's Grimhood. He did a lot of he's known as the magnesium guy on Twitter, and so he's done extensive research, and he was talking about the importance of getting magnesium in different forms. And
Yep.
a lot of people say that, but not many mention that you can actually get it dermally, via spray or immersion in mineral baths or the ocean. So interesting concept, totally works
Yeah.
for
Nice.
sure.
Awesome, man. All right. So how can folks find you and learn more about getting the product?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have social media. So our Instagram is at Pravi, that's PRAVI .nutrition. Our website is pravinutrition.com, spelled the same way. And we have a host of studies. We have blogs, we have recipes. If you're interested in learning more, I would check those two up the most. We are on Twitter, we're on TikTok, but we do most of our work on Instagram and our website, I would say.
Cool.
We're not in any stores at the moment, but we are planning on talking to a few chains, health-based chains, and seeing what we can do once we get
Cool.
these new products out. Really excited for them.
Awesome. Good for you,
But
man. Congrats. Well, I appreciate your time, insights. Really do enjoy your product, and I hope other people's will listen who've listened will take you up on it as well because it's a great tool, great option.
thank you, Scott. I really appreciate it. This was fun. So I hope we do it again. Thank you
Yeah.
again.